Wow, where are you guys all coming from? Maybe the bus let out or something.
Hey guys, so we're like now, right? Like with this is we don't have to rotate anymore. Do you guys know? Can I talk to you?
No, I think it'll around.
Sweet, free for all. Here we go.
So is the justice a good handshaker? Is she allowed to say anything?
Oh, hey, Kevin.
Huh? No comment?
I don't know.
What do they care? They're gonna still picture. They don't care if you talk to them.
Yeah, him. So you literally tore him.
Literally.
Are you okay?
Getting there. Still tender. Like I was just doing this meeting. Right now, I gotta stay.
It's a long time.
It does. It's been a month. Yeah, it's been a month, and I'm just playing. I'm back on the
I am.
I'm just like an
I am. Vote for me. Thank you.
I'll stop you. Stop you from global travel, right?
Tell you, Australia, that week after it happened.
I think you will invest.
I drew poorly, and they have the lottery. And I drew an economy, and I had to keep my foot.
Reuters 9.
Yeah, it was a long flight. But
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I very much go on a trip. In the end, it was worth it. I mean, I had an afternoon and evening free in Melbourne, which was just
I've never been.
rocking. Summertime, Friday. It was along the riverfront, it goes right through the town. Both sides of pedestrian eyes. And there's all these bridges that cross back and forth. And it's lined with bars and restaurants. It must be 100 bars and restaurants just lining the riverfront. And everybody looked happy and healthy because they were not American. They were really happy about that.
One day, just get every
It's like another planet. It was like, oh my God, what's in the water?
People are enjoying their lives.
You guys.
Good. Yeah. Sleeping on. Yeah, the acceptances are starting to roll in.
Oh, really? Where are we thinking?
She got into UVA.
Good.
Pretty happy about
You're all
that.
set there.
Pretty happy. Waiting on William. Andre still down? Waiting there?
He is, yeah. I saw him last weekend. Taking a large class. This should be next year. Yeah. Yeah, we're taking in a lot of fun. A lot of juniors and seniors.
Yes. Dude, that's my life. Welcome to my life. Like most of it. I've not seen it, but I've heard it's very good. I saw the lighting. Hey, that's
You have to.
Well, so it's the way it is now.
Guillermo del Toro like tweeted.
I mean, that's the way it is in most schools anyway, but do you have a hard set on anything?
As far as studying or which college?
Which college?
I think you can be the one.
You have an idea what
Judge was good this morning.
She said the word,
Super
evil
easy.
words, political science.
Super nice. And it was like so silly. Photographers. Thank you. I filed it. But it's still
And she keeps throwing the three-letter word law around.
Oh,
I don't know how that's going to happen.
well,
Maybe she'll win the lottery. I don't know.
well, one thing at a time, Bert.
Yeah.
What's the color balance in here?
We had 46.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Anything out of state or?
Yeah, she got into University of Vermont, University of Massachusetts.
I wasn't supposed to.
Where else?
Tell you a funny thing about UVM. My whole family got in there. Both my sisters went there. My parents went there. I got UVM.
From where?
UVM.
Okay.
His office.
I guess I did a really lame application.
My brother said they went for NDA because they denied all of us. Then they felt bad. But I think that was the one.
There's no reason not to go to UVA, but political science. Called in.
The thought of driving 10 hours of 95 visitor in Vermont.
You know what? I talked to Doug Milton about that because his daughter went there.
Yes.
And
I went away to school. I was in the 3,000. Wow.
Last time I saw you was on Breadman's Instagram.
That's a
Is that right?
Down at William Mary, 95 to 60. Yeah, so you never.
I hadn't seen him in like a year, and it's all coming out of his. That's not bad. Get that thing off your face. Next day, trimmed it up.
It's just a good day, 2 hours.
Hey, I need your advice on my little guy. Soccer.
You guys call him Breadman. I call him Korea dude.
The club he's in, the league he's in, he's forbidden to play.
That's terrible.
It's like a
Knock out,
school.
strike out.
Yeah. Like a Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your predicament?
He snuck out, made the. They don't take freshmen on varsity, but he made the team.
Yeah.
Had a scrimmage last night. Had a blast. He's only playing probably half the game with his club. You got to predict if. Let me throw this part in. Justice, the soccer coach that's been there for a while, left. They brought in.
Oh, they don't have, what's his name anymore?
2020.
Forte? Gone? I'm not a fan of him.
Okay, well they brought in a new coach, and guess where he coaches? Alexander.
Oh, this travel team?
Regardless, so there's not going to be any. We can't do this on the slide.
No, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah.
I'm going to predict. High school soccer's only 3 months.
Yeah,
I think that's a predicament for the athletic director. His own soccer coach. I think he can't play for the high school team. He's the high school coach.
No, it's Alexandria saying he can't play.
Yeah, his coach. Oh, Alexander's. His coaches.
Coach said
Is it Alexander?
the head coach of Justice now is
That's conflict.
he's
the high school coach telling him. But he'll know.
Coaches will
You're saying he'll know.
He'll know.
He'll know and it'll report.
I don't know. You're asking.
How do you play for schools?
I don't. You have to ask.
It's a part of your school life. What's he thinking? Is he thinking he's going to play college soccer, or is it a dream thing, or is it realistic about like
No.
the club, the league he's in?
Whatever you want to use. Probably will stick if I were to.
My advice is enjoy high school soccer.
Thank you, kind sir.
That's what I think John.
I know. I felt very vindicated. I must say.
I sent him.
I hope you hold his feet to the fire. Okay, good.
I said it.
He's doing all the league stuff.
Except for you.
He could play league stuff.
They're gonna rotate people in the front.
Or you can transfer to another league and be fine.
no, because you're
What? He likes high school soccer. What year is he? Freshman. Yeah, 4 years to play soccer.
And then I saw that Javen never went.
I would ask.
So I told Marge. No. When I was in the 317, her and Jeff said, sorry, just go there, don't park. Out the gallery, I came in, Mark was there, and I said, just calm down, can I go in? He said, yeah. Then I said, he got no place, and then he came and got me.
They can say
He
you
said,
can't wait for him.
you do that, and then we'll bring in the post for the walkout.
Alexandria
I saw Javen wasn't going there, so I went back out, I said, there's nobody there. So I went back and stood there again.
and they're still telling us.
Yeah, I'm sorry they told you that. They told
I'm
me
not a fan of the whole
post
system.
was going
It's
there.
not right. Yeah,
You know that. I know that. You know. It's like the trailer broken to pieces.
I support you.
Trailer to pieces.
Not rocking the
Kids realize it. They don't get it.
Wait till the. And they told me that the chicken was the same thing the previous year.
No.
I could definitely.
very bad. In the aisle.
That's what I did. I went behind their camera. No. Yeah, that's what they should have.
That's great.
So we have a discussion.
It was like, it was huge.
Either you're head on or you're
Now, this is the one
Wednesday night.
I don't know for sure.
next weekend.
Was he a good coach?
He might have been a good coach.
Most years I'm a terrible defender. Going to 5 minutes. Although you know you
That's different.
10 minutes.
They had a starter for
No,
the
I-
last year was 6 of that. Whether the score was 6-0 either way. And it didn't humiliate them, so it did like 30 seconds.
I got the walk through when it's
Like I said,
Yeah.
sometimes the short period.
Worst experience. So I went in and I talked to him. I was long with him. Told him, this is all without me.
Somebody asked me.
I will do it.
He told me it was on vacation.
Glad I did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awful. No coach should ever.
No problem.
How'd they play?
I'm staying from that. Just trying to think if there was another way around this. You don't even have a cable.
Let's try that in the.
Are you guys staying in an apartment?
Yeah.
Forgot about the kids.
Forgot about the kids.
So,
Andre had a problem with his bench mates and he's not quitting.
I think his went out, unless, well, I don't know, we'll see what he has to do.
What does he expect?
My son stuck it out because that's the kind of kid he is. He's like, this will change, this will get better, he's got to put me in. So, yeah, work hard. Give you good feedback. A couple of times he got he scored. Really? So he comes in, he scores the goal. You're like, oh, he'll definitely be in next year. No problem.
7:30. Okay, but here's my issue.
This is like murder and row.
And I feel like if I get stuff the same move.
With a 32 minute wait.
That's not a good idea.
Becomes about that.
I know. Only 30
Look at the roof.
It's great to see.
That kind of creates a problem for photography.
Damage.
Sure, I'll find a way to get
I
some
just-
broken all.
All right, well, maybe, I guess I could always slide down. You know what, here, Caesar, take it up and run it under this, right here.
Oh, that's a good
See
idea,
what I'm saying?
Pat, sir.
Yeah, let's do that. See, you stick with me, you will go far.
I'll be way to sleep.
I'm not good for, I can't get my wife, believe me.
Right up here, let the speaker trip over.
No, we're.
No, it's just
We're gonna run that.
Trying to keep it as normal and positive.
Bonnie used to say, remember this line, some sweet line.
There's only one way to skin a cat,
You have to eat it anytime you arrive.
and if you have some gappers,
Sit in less than 5
I mean, give me just a little bit of slack.
Alright,
Enjoying the pool this summer?
oh, absolutely.
Yeah, sent my check in.
Check went up, or the price went up.
Hey, I doubled the banner, which they charge you not only double, but plus an extra $25 for insult. Thank you very much. I said, why am I paying more than double for the double with one less wall? Because it's a privilege to have.
That's not for them to do, right?
Exactly.
It's a privilege for them to have you get a discount.
There's so much drama down there. They gotta make a TV show about it. Instead of the office, call it the pool.
My goal is to spend more time there this summer.
When you think about the draw is amazing. Chemistry, you got the swim families, the craziness with the swim. You get the swim dive competition, lifeguards, you know, you got crazy parents at the pool. It's just like, you can, it's so easy.
It'll write itself. About 45. So, how long? She's making the rounds. How long?
Yeah, just get her lazy.
Oh, that's excellent. How long is that? A couple weeks that she makes the round?
I hope it's coming to an end. I actually volunteered to do anything she needs.
Right.
Hey, what's up? We're close together. Close together and I can see
Fort
your
Worth
face.
on Monday.
What's going on down there?
Biden's doing something Tuesday.
How are you?
I just want to be warm. I might just go to Tennessee for a week.
Yeah. Sounds good. We got spring break the week after next, Rhonda, so taking off.
Where are you gonna go?
We'll go down to Hilton Head.
Oh, nice. Would you drive, pick him up, and keep going?
I don't know. You may want to come back to kayak some loose ends or something.
Why?
It's actually not that much of a time savings because you have to come all the way.
I actually felt like it went
and go
quicker.
back down again.
I see.
Yeah. So save an hour and a half.
Yeah, why don't you be
Yeah, probably could be better. Better roads. Didn't have to come back on itself.
I mean, it's a little longer, but Route 17 hit Fredericksburg like 11, 17 and go
Allie Rubin.
Oh, yeah?
Text me at
Oh, okay.
I have like 6
Oh, I'll come.
politics or
Yeah.
Well, we go to Outer Banks, or anytime we go to Virginia,
Chad, yeah, give me a call, Mike.
that is the way to go.
Great.
This is Chad and Caesar here on
Beer,
Speedway.
one penny.
Good morning.
It's about
oh thanks. Fence action.
I'm in, yeah, I like Struck Creek Road.
It's beautiful.
Oh, that's good. When I discovered that tree on March, because I was going to Delaware all the time.
Wherever you want. You don't have to sit right here.
It's one pleasant drive.
It's a road in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Just one finger on the wheel.
Actual sedition.
Like the Great Bridge.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't even think about it.
95 is a nightmare. Anything to avoid it.
Yeah.
You're not doing White House much these days?
Not so much
They'll be gone in like the next 15 minutes.
in the house, like on a daily basis. I think they, I removed myself from
Yeah.
Trump and never inserted me back.
Do you want to go back?
Sometimes you just get a little humping on the calendar. At least there you're in one central location. But I don't miss travel pool, Oval Office shit.
My only gripe with this
Forgot how you do it.
nobody outside of Delta knows who Joe Manchin is.
Right.
High profile.
You know, go to China.
How's Dan doing today? Could be worse.
Better than loud. Better than loud this way.
I'm full for this. I better keep my mouth shut. Believe it or not.
really good food too,
Yeah.
like you can eat it regularly and a lot of it and not
Not
be
feel
like,
like you're
oh my
dying,
god,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I just
We
after
rented
having that happen
one of
and
these
like
chalets here. It's so bizarre. It is so weird. They're actually like little huts, couches, chairs, right? Yeah, it was like legitimately.
your foot, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It was a strange experience. Yeah, we
You
are.
know, like we're gonna look back and be like, remember?
We used to eat in huts. Outside.
Yeah,
It was expensive. I
know you sent the raw by accident.
Yeah, yeah, like real today, so normal.
Like sitting on the side.
Yeah, not stressed out.
We need to do that. We need to go to New York and coaching in there, like after like a year and in their restaurant. It was like bustling.
Yeah. I was in Naples, Florida last weekend with friends. It was like COVID never happened. It just was yeah, whatever. Yeah, right. Right.
Maybe it's, even with the mask thing, I don't know, he said, and yeah, he said technically on my own life, I'm
Yes,
not gonna
it is. Oh,
right? And
did they make you wear a mask inside? In a mask room. That might just be psychosis. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's my coverage. Hey, I said it. No mask. Go over that. Big assholes, yep. No. Take it off. But he said, but he did say you would have a negative consequence. It's also with it's not.
honestly, it's been great. I like to have the one for good responsibility and it tends to be fine, less confusing. So you're just, oh, I see, so you're just adjusting the farmer's data. Yeah, I just adjust the laws as I still know I see it. But you're new to that. Just leave it the way it is now. I don't know. Oh, hello. No, I need.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course. I don't plan to do I like Fridays as a way I like
Right, like, you know, work in the morning.
dress down.
That's the color I learned.
Yeah. It's so funny. I remember when I was career I wore a sweater.
Oh, I have one.
You have one?
Yeah. So I said, "You decide how I go on with it." Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I don't think the kids are big problem is.
Oh, for sure. Shipped it. Let me call you back.
No, I mean, I'm done. I said, so because my
Residence. He's good, and he's also
Okay,
kind of
then.
I just added light. You might check your white balance. I lit up the mural. Yeah, I got one of the rock and rollers.
Yeah, it's like the four-wheel thing that most of the guys park in the field.
There's a couple different types of those. Really beefy, black and yellow.
Yeah, yeah. This is different.
That's standard unilateral life. Yeah. But the reason I asked you is because that rental car shuttle works hard. Normally, if you can push out the baggage claim, you use the rental car. The facilities right, across the street.
Not in single family, but not as technical.
Yeah, yeah.
Everything is good.
Everybody jumps on and wait for you and they're case at and sometimes the driver will be kind enough to help, but everybody's just sitting there looking at you. That's why I hope you can hook up with a sky cat. Give the guy $20 and just let him wait there till you come back with the car. Traveling a lot.
That's how we've done it for years. It's just advice and speaking. So unilateral life shots at the event.
Prefer to be United States.
That one might be a warm and eat barbecue for a couple days.
It's just gonna be slanting here.
Yeah.
No. Yet.
I told you, it's like, relitigating, we're relitigating.
But I kept a. Where do you get those goats? Pups? Cubs are fine. It's very fancy stuff.
Oh, really?
I'm just a simple.
Yeah, right. They have your tons of
Oh yeah. I think they call it.
blueberry cake donut to sell.
Yes, that is really good.
Oh,
I've had
so
that
good.
for 25 years.
Because once I break the fast, I have to leave.
Right. It's like a drug, right?
I like that.
Good morning, good morning. Here we are, just came from the floor where you're passing the PACT Act. It's pretty exciting. Let's start with the beginning of the week. Earlier this week, when the President of the United States delivered a State of the Union address that gave the American people hope and confidence in their future, had empathy for those who are still suffering from the aftermath of COVID and the economic downside of all of that. And again, talked about our commitment to democracy by helping the people of Ukraine. Let me just start with Ukraine. It's just amazing to see the diabolical actions taken by Putin as he has complete disregard for sovereignty, democracy, or human life, including civilian lives, and those of children. Very pleased that we had a very strong bipartisan resolution yesterday expressing support for the people of Ukraine and talking about our commitment for helping with their defense, helping with their economy, helping with their humanitarian needs. And then again, we will be, in our appropriations bill, we've received the President's request, having that under consideration now as to how we go forward. There's so much to be said about Ukraine, including just the most recent statement by the readout from the French on the Macron-Putin conversation. I don't know whose analysis it is, but the readout was that the worst is yet to come. There's more bad to come. So it's pretty horrible. So again, I want to salute the President. He, working with our allies, are presenting a united front against Putin. If his intention was to divide NATO and the West, not just NATO, but other countries, in fact, he has instead unified them even further in terms of their commitment to sovereignty, democracy, and peace. Again, over the past year, the U.S. has sent to Ukraine over $1 billion in security assistance, and again with our allies to continue to do even more in those areas I mentioned: security, economics, their economy, and meeting their humanitarian needs. The President also talked in his speech about some unity measures in the Congress of the United States. We are now in the midst of completing the Competes Act. We call it Competes. It has another name. America Competes in 2022. The America Competes Act. They have a different name, but we have the same goal. It's about three things. It's about making chips, developing chips, $52 billion for chips and semiconductors. It's about addressing the supply chain needs, $48 billion to address the supply chain, to increase supply and therefore reduce cost and make us independent and self-sufficient as a country by not depending on the needs of some countries, the supplies of some countries of concern. And then the third part, which is about education and research and STEM research, science, technology, engineering, and math, in order to have more diversity and more everyone participating in the economic security and prosperity of our country. The President also talked about what we can do in some other areas in fighting cancer, opioids, issues like that, where I think we do have common ground and can participate. And he talked about our veterans in that unity message. And in that, he talked, and I was particularly excited about honoring the PACT Act. Some of you have heard me say before, this goes way back 40 years for me as a chair of the California Democratic Party when I went with Dick Gregory to be part of a hunger strike with our Vietnam vets who were protesting against the use of Agent Orange and what it meant to their health after the war. It took us a very long time to address those concerns. In fact, we didn't really complete it until a few years ago when we addressed the Blue Water, the Navy, part of that. But we can't wait that long for the burn pits. So right now on the floor, we are just gaveling down, and that's why I was running a little bit late, the burn pits legislation, where our young people who, our men and women in uniform, whatever their age, find themselves in harm's way to fight for our freedom, are also in harm's way because of the burn pits. And they have cancer after the fact. Sometimes it doesn't even come until 6-7 years later. But the fact is, if they were present, there is a presumption that is a relationship. We had a press conference yesterday on it. We had our amendments yesterday. Today we passed the bill, and now we will work with the Senate to make it easier and healthier for our, it's a cost of war. And it really amazed me, and I'm rarely amazed and surprised around here. But for the Republicans to go to the floor and say, the veterans really don't want this help with their help because it's going to cost money. And they're more concerned about the budget of the than they are about their health. Oh, really? You just gave tax cuts in 2017 to the richest people in America. Tax cuts for the rich, cancer for our veterans. That's how we see this discussion and this debate. That's Mr. Raul Ruiz, who's been a very important part of all this, says it, and I agree with him. Mr. Mark Takano, chair of the Veterans Affairs Committee, has done a great job with all of this, and I'm very proud of his work, honoring our pact and honoring the pact. And then Elaine Loria, who has a veteran herself, also a member of the Armed Services Committee, very much a part of this legislation. But again, we have bipartisan support. It's a good number of Republicans who voted for it today. A larger number did not, but nonetheless, it's a bipartisan bill. So getting back to the State of the Union, I was very proud of what the president had to say about Ukraine, what he had to say about our veterans, what he had to say about our country's future, and the priorities that he put forth where he saw places where we could be unified, Democrats and Republicans, in coming together on all of this. We are in the midst of putting together our omnibus bill, so I'm going to have to run. We are also in the midst of putting together our competes bill, and both of them, the omnibus has a shorter fuse, but both of them need to be done as soon as we possibly can. With that, I'll be happy to take any questions you may have. Yeah, why don't you go first this time?
Obviously, the 1-6 committee got a filing last night, and I know you don't want to talk directly about their work.
That's right.
But let me ask you, obviously you don't want to talk about their work, but that said, when you were on the dais on January 6th,
yes,
your security detail rushed you out.
Right.
Did you think that the threat was there, that they were trying to overturn the election, the mob outside the building? Because that's what's reflected in the filing today. What did you think was going on when that happened on January 6th?
Frankly, my concern was for the safety of my members, if you want to know what I was thinking. I was thinking about the safety of my members, the safety of our staff, the safety of the press who were covering us. So I was totally consumed, and I didn't want to leave because I was like, well, but again, that was totally consumed my thoughts.
You
Yeah.
didn't think this was a threat to the electoral college and the integrity of the election at that moment?
I thought it was a threat to our democracy, our Constitution, and the Capitol building, and all that entails. Jake?
On the omnibus, can we get an update on where you are? I mean, it seems like there's a bunch of riders still outstanding, and furthermore, on the $22.5 billion in COVID money, Republicans are balking at that. How do you see the state of play?
Well, the appropriators will be negotiating all of this. The fact is the $22 billion for COVID is absolutely necessary. In fact, we probably will need more as we need more therapies. One of the pieces of this is to buy the pills that will be. You get a sign, you take the pill. It's no longer about something being a sub-freezing temperature, only having a shelf life of a certain amount of days. This is science. This is going forward. So I would hope that they would see the wisdom of the science of what we need to do in terms of COVID, because the last thing we need is more transmission. Transmission is where variants are created. And a new variant is a new challenge. So let's do as much prevention or early intervention as we can. And I would hope that they would. Now, how they pay for it and this or that, that's a negotiation there. What was the other part?
Do you plan on pushing that out as a separate vote, and then how do you plan on handling the Ukraine money?
Well, at the present time, the fastest way for us to get the Ukraine money is for us to have it on this legislation. So we'd hope that we can just come to agreement to putting it forth. And it's about, again, humanitarian assistance. It's about security assistance, and it's about economic assistance for them. So it's very important, and this is the legislative process. We will. I'm an appropriator, so I'm always trusting that left to their own devices, the appropriators, Democrats, Republicans, House and Senate, understand the urgency of meeting the needs of the American people as we keep government open. And in this case, we have a pandemic to address and the challenge that we face in Ukraine. And hopefully that will be, Ukraine and COVID will be emergency. It will be emergency. They won't be part of the regular budget caps and the rest. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Speaker, average gas prices in the Bay Area surged above $5 a gallon for the first time ever in history. So how
To about $5 a gallon.
Yeah, above $5 a
Yeah.
gallon. So how high do gas prices need to get before you would support something like opening up federal lands to drilling?
Well, let me just say that the issue of the price of gas and the price of oil is directly related to what is happening in the Ukraine. Doesn't mean it can't go up and down without a Russian diabolical intervention into a sovereign country, but it is related to that. And I heard a parliamentarian from Ukraine today saying, our people are being killed, our country's being overrun, and people are complaining about paying a little more for the price of gas. Well, we don't want people to have to pay a little more for the price of gas. And one of the suggestions that has come up is that we have a holiday from the gas tax. I bring that up because that's what we've heard the most of. And that sounds good. But do you know that there is no guarantee that the oil companies pass that reduction on to the consumer? And it's very hard to write a bill that requires them to pass it on to the consumer. You think that it's at the pump, it's the consumer paying it, comes off, but that's not the way it works. So I think that if we can have a holiday that guarantees the consumer benefits rather than more profits for the oil companies, that would be a path that we can take. The President has already talked about releasing oil from as he already has done from the sprawl and others. I'm not for drilling on public lands. Yes, ma'am.
Just to follow up on Chad's question with respect to what you and every member experienced, and given this filing that the committee released last night, do you believe former President Trump should be held criminally responsible?
I'm not going to answer any questions about what the committee is doing. They have their independence. I've kept myself completely separate from their actions, and I have no intention of commenting on them except to thank them for seeking the truth and seeking the truth so that the American people know what the assault was on our Constitution, our Congress, our Capitol. Capitol, that's easy. You just repair it. The traumatic effect on our workers and the rest, harder to repair. It was a terrible thing. And again, seeking the truth is very important, and it won't be happening with my answering questions in here. But right now, we're trying to save the lives of our veterans. We're trying to meet the needs of the American people with our omnibus bill. And we have many challenges ahead of us. The president put forth a blueprint again for strength and progress and confidence and empathy for meeting the needs of the American people. That's what our legislative focus is. The investigation of the committee is their work. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Madam Speaker, there's been a push by some Democrats to ban the import of Russian oil, and I believe that Senators Manchin and Murkowski are going to put forth a bill on that today. Where do you stand?
I'm all for that. Ban it.
Ban the oil.
Ban the oil coming from Russia. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Madam Speaker, we saw the State of the Union, no mask there. We saw the
Yeah.
guidance come down on Capitol Hill. Is it time to reopen the Capitol to visitors? And could this be the last extension of proxy voting in the House?
No, that's up to the Capitol physician. That we take all of our guidance from there, including opening the House. I think you'll see an unfolding now of the Capitol opening. It's about COVID, and it's about security. Mostly, it's about COVID, though, and so that will be up to the sergeants at arms, and it will be up to the Capitol physician, and we just take our guidance from them. I mean, we were very fortunate that they came to the conclusion that all members could participate in the State of the Union address, but it was up to them. We could not make that call. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
On the last question, on the State of the Union,
Yeah.
we did see numerous outbursts from Representatives Boebert and Green during President Biden's speech. As I'm sure you probably remember, when Congressman Joe Wilson yelled "You lie" at President Obama in 2009, the House actually passed a resolution of disapproval on that. We haven't heard any talk of that now, but I'm wondering just what is your reaction to those outbursts? Should any action be taken, and what does it say about this process?
Let me just say this. I agree with what Senator Lindsey Graham said. Shut up. That's what he said to them. I think they should just shut up. Thank you all very much.
All right, guys.
Is McCarthy next?